Roll call, please.
Olson. Rice.
Here.
Tronis.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Barrington.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Sharks.
Here.
Smith.
Before we move on to the approval of the consent agenda, it was requested that we do a little change up here. We're going to do number 9 on the agenda, the committee reports first, because we didn't get approval on the traffic report and the public health and safety report from last meeting. So we need to get that done first before we put it on the consent agenda. So with that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the committee reports. First one is traffic from May 16th.
Okay, Traffic Commission met May 16th at 6:30 p.m. with a number of items on the agenda. First was a request to change the traffic layout at First and Main for westbound traffic. After considerable discussion and talk of a traffic count and some other things, it was decided that this would remain as is, so that motion was denied. Next, Dakota Wesleyan University requested a parade permit for Saturday, September 17th, 2016, beginning at 10 a.m. until approximately 12 p.m. The parade route would begin on Main Street from 9th to 1st Street, and they wanted to have the streets blocked off for the parade as well as the cars removed from the streets. In addition, DW requested to use the parking between 9th and 7th Street and Lawler and Kimball again for staging area. This was approved. Next, there was a request to temporarily open the 100 block of East 6th during the East 5th construction. This was denied. Next, Scott Morgan requested to close the 2100 block Highland Way in front of Quiznos and Blarney's on Sunday, August 7th, 2016 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for Blarney's 8th annual 3-on-3 tournament. This was approved. Next, the Heart and Soul Cancer Walk Run Board of Directors requested that the City of Mitchell close 8th Street from Minnesota to Iowa and the Cadwell entrance to 8th Street on Friday, June 17th, 2016 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Cancer Walk Run event. This was approved. Next, Dave Epp requested a parade permit for the 4th annual Neil Epp Memorial Porker Run. The event is on Saturday, June 25th with a 12:30 start. The parade would begin at Clockworks, located at 915 South Kimball, and travel west on Havens to the west end of town, and that was approved. Next, there was a request to make Norway and Raleigh a 4-way stop. After discussion and talk of different traffic counts, this item was approved. Next, there was a request to close West Quince Street from approximately 650 feet west of South Wisconsin Street to South Miller, and this was approved, and we adjourned at 6:58 p.m.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the traffic report.
So, second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public health and safety from May 16th.
Okay, going from memory and thanking Lyndon for telling me they got done at 6:58, so we started at 6:59. We had 2 requests for fireworks permit. One was for Saturday, June 4th for the Tanner Kingsbury Memorial softball tournament. That was this last Saturday, and the fireworks were really good. And the other one was for Friday, June 17th, coming up, the Heart and Soul Cancer Walk, a fireworks permit for that. Both were approved.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the Public Health and Safety Committee report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public health and safety
From tonight?
for tonight.
Okay, we met at 6:30. We had one item on the agenda. It was for a fireworks permit for the 4th of July. Same as last year in the same location. All of the insurance and permits are in place. As motion then approved, and we adjourned at 6:36.
Entertain a motion to approve the public health and safety report.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public properties.
Okay, we met this evening at 6:36. We had two items on the agenda. We had a request for modifications to the street light at 407th and North Harmon Drive, and to move that 50 feet north. That was approved unanimously. We also had a light request at the skate park, and that as well was approved unanimously, and we adjourned the meeting at approximately 6:40.
Entertain a motion to approve the public properties report.
So moved.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move to the approval of the consent agenda. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. None? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Tronis,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Sharps, Rice.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the citizen input, and if you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. And the first one I'm going to let speak is going to be Stephanie, because she wanted to speak.
We just have a couple updates that we thought we would pass along to the public as well as the council. Some of these the council's already aware of. The first one being, we did have another committee meeting on the 6th Avenue Plaza. We have an additional committee meeting coming up here this week. And then our next community input session is scheduled for June 14th. And that will once again be at the MTI Amphitheater. We had a,
Can I just
go ahead.
interject?
Yeah.
Very worth your time
Yeah.
to come. I mean, I really encourage, I'm like totally like being a cheerleader for this process because it's very inclusive and you definitely get your opinions heard and you get to be a part of a really exciting decision-making process for our community. So I encourage everybody to come.
And they do anticipate bringing some 3D conceptual designs for the community to give feedback on. So anyone who's available to attend that meeting, and they will be using the electronic voting systems as they did the last time, so they'll have their clickers there if you want to come and participate. We did have another follow-up meeting with with the mayor's pool committee. It appears after that last meeting, we're kind of at the end of the schematic design and heading into design development. So they are working on a few items that they're tweaking that we're sending out to the committee on seating and things like that, but we will probably not meet again. I just got another date. I believe it's July 6th is the next committee meeting that we have on that one. And then we did have, as the council's aware, we had Image Engineering came on site a month ago and viewed our Corn Palace domes and gave us some suggestions for improvements on the domes. One of the suggestions that they gave was the installation of a new color player. We did have them on site on June 1st. I actually spent a couple hours with them after the sun started going down, and we looked at some of the improvements that have already been made. The thing that was kind of nice that they also did when they came is they brought one of the front light LED spotlights that they discussed in the report, that since we're moving the ones that are on top of the chamber over to the domes because they're meant to be used in closer proximity, and if we replace those with lights that are designed to reach as far as across the street, they wanted you to have an opportunity to see what that might look like. And so literally the guy was holding the spotlight up while I was taking pictures, and my youngest daughter was changing the color of the domes as we were doing it. But this is just an example. If we go to that option 4 that was listed in the different options they gave us for improvements, this is what the murals look like without that front spotlight at dusk, and this is what they looked like afterwards. And again, this is just the guy holding the light, pointing it towards the mural. He also wanted to show it, and this is at night. So these are how it currently looks at night without the spotlight up, and then this is shining the spotlight. The original cost estimate that you guys looked at would include 1 light for each of the murals, 1 for each of the domes, and 1 for each of the turrets. At first, I thought that cost in the programming was just for the murals, but he explained it a lot better to me when he was in town that day, so I wanted to show you a little bit of that as well. By front lighting the domes, in addition to what we already have, it gives you the ability, it's kind of hard to see it, you can see it better on my phone, but it gives you the ability to do some 3-dimensional color on your dome. So let's say you have the inside pink and purple, and then you front light it with a green. He said it really gives you some kind of 3D looks to it. And this is really hard to see here too.
Would it be helpful if we turned off the lights?
It might be a little bit easier. When they front light the domes, yeah, that's way better. You can see the small dome here actually has the LED lights that we already have on it, as well as he took that same spotlight he was using for the murals, turned it purple on his computer and pointed it towards the domes, and you can see how much brighter that got as well. And then this is the cool option, is that we have the ability to, we would also have the ability to light the turrets. You can light them the same as the domes, you can do them different, you can have them part of a coordinated light show, we can do whatever we want with them. But he was just showing some examples of with the turrets lit. This was my personal favorite of the example, because when you see one of the turrets lit right next to the one that isn't, it really, I think, makes the building look more 3D. Just based on the results of seeing the improvement in the front lighting of the murals, the mayor said to go ahead and have them get a closer cost estimate on the quotes for that hardware. So we do already have the color player installed. Scott has lined up getting the LED lights moved from the chamber on top of the Corn Palace. So that part's already started and done. We already have the new player, so it's much easier for us to change the color. We have an unlimited amount of colors that we can do. We just send them a list and they'll do it for us. But this is our recommended next step, because that will make a drastic improvement for the lighting of your murals. And then keep in mind that when we talked about the 6th Avenue Plaza project, we have told the designers that as they're planning their pedestrian lights in the plaza, we want to ensure that it has the appropriate electrical at the top so that we can use that for doing the front lighting of the murals on the other side. Yep. So we've got that planned into what we planned for 6th Avenue.
Are we still putting dimmers on these or not?
You know, that's, I think, a next conversation that you guys can have after
Didn't
this.
we have that conversation of a cost in that?
There is a cost with that too. The thing, there's a number of different things that kind of tie into that. The dimmers would not only dim the lights that go around the murals down to 11%, as low as 11%, they would also be able to be added into the light show that we're going to add that can be coordinated to music. It also would eliminate, I'm going to not use the right electrical terms, but 6 of the 7 boxes that we have upstairs behind the crow's nest, there's a bunch of electrical outlets that we've kind of had to patch together over the years. It would eliminate the necessity of the majority of those. They would all be terminated into one control box for all of the murals, which would make it a lot easier for operations. But I think that because there's a lot more involved, there'll probably be a third discussion that we have. This one is really just installing those hardware and the programming across where we already have the conduit and everything in place. So this is a pretty easy fix to take as step 2. So that's kind of where we're at.
So we don't need the dimmers now, or we?
I think, I don't know, I think that's going to be a conversation that you guys need to have if you still want to proceed with it.
Well, the public will tell us if we need them or not.
Right. The good thing about the dimmers, I think just, when you look at the front light of the spotlight, it's already improved dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
The thing to consider about the dimmers is it gives you a bunch of other things too, like we have better control of the electrical components on the outside of the building. Right now you have to have the lights on if you want to use the outside outlet. So we kind of eliminate some of those headaches and you're able to tie it into the light show. But there's a financial impact to that, so I think you as a council can decide and budget and do that, as you move forward, or this year if you choose.
I'm sorry, so we could decide to do this part this year, and then come budget season, if we want to move ahead, we could decide to do the other
Yep.
part then next year.
Or you could get through this part, see if you're happy with it. If you are, then you know what's left out of that money that was designated for tile, and then you make a decision to move forward. I'm just trying to give you the steps, phases to do this so we can see how the impact is as we go, before we just jump 100% in.
Stephanie, how much is this now versus the package that you presented?
I did bring that with me, actually. The player that we bought was $6,000 with the programming and all of the changes. The addition of these 7 fixtures and the programming, they were estimating at $36,000, but we'll have to get a closer estimate. That was just based on this initial proposal that they gave us. So that's why I asked them to get me a closer cost estimate.
Thank you.
But it adds not just the lighting of the murals, but there's a whole lot more added in with that. So I just wanted to make sure that I had the chance to explain how that went. Also, the other update would be we are doing the dedication ceremony on Wednesday night, starting at 5:30 of the remodeling project, as well as the Oscar Howe Museum. And then Thursday, Scott has scheduled the grand reopening of the Corn Palace with a ribbon cutting. And the event, the Downtown Thursday event, will go till 9 o'clock on Thursday. And we're going to end the event with the lighting of the dome. So we'll have that to show to everybody. And I think that's all the updates I had, right, Mayor, that we talked about? I think so.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come to the podium and address the council?
Okay. I'm Ed Potzler. I just have a comment about the city website. At least as of 1600 hours tonight, the city council meeting is still listed as being starting at 7:30. That might want to be changed since people who use that time are going to come an hour late. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Is there anyone else?
I've got a couple things. One, tomorrow's election, make sure you vote. So just that reminder. And 2, in the last couple weeks, the governor has come out and said the state's looking at their budget and what they thought the sales tax revenues would be and thought they would make it. And we're watching that month by month now from what we saw in the first couple months, and then we rebounded, et cetera. But I just want to say kudos to Mitchell. This last weekend, we had a state golf tournament. We had a private golf tournament. We have another high school association golf tournament today and tomorrow. We had a boys baseball tournament, a girls softball tournament, and we have kids skating Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at least that I know of this week. So we're trying to promote as much stuff in town, and I probably missed any other special things that I wasn't aware of, but trying to make sure we have people in town, and that first, second, and third penny sales tax is important, and we're trying to promote it.
You missed the Pepsi-Cola soccer competition.
That's right, and
Over,
my
40
niece was
soccer
here playing in that.
You
I forgot about
kids
that.
out there, it was fun to watch.
Yep.
Thank you, Steve. Susan?
Yeah, I've got a few things too. First of all, I've got some thank yous to some kudos to pass along. I think I say this every year, but the cemetery over Memorial Day, absolutely beautiful in every way, shape, and form. And people that were here would drive by and go, my goodness, what a beautiful cemetery you have. So thank you so much to the people that worked so hard to make that such a beautiful place and such a great attribute for our community. So.
I would just like to comment too that it's always refreshing to see the golf course seasonal staff coming over the hill before Memorial Day. It's just impossible to weed that entire cemetery without them. And those kids work really hard.
Kevin, why don't you come up to the microphone so the audience can hear you at home? That's okay.
I was just commenting that it's nice to have the seasonal golf course workers arrive the week before Memorial Day, because with almost 16,000 burials out there, probably 10 to 12,000 stones, it's a formidable task to weed eat that cemetery. And my college kids show up and they really work their hearts out because they know it's important. And the cemetery is also overlooked for revenue. Brings a lot of people to town 10 days around Memorial Day, purchasing flowers and visiting and staying overnight and visiting families. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
And I know somebody that was, wanted to get out there and visit graves and didn't know where they were located at. And they had asked for contact, and they were so appreciative of the fact that that you had an office there, and that there was somebody there to tell them, you know, what the location was, because they hadn't been able to be out there at the time of the service. So thank you for that.
Pam?
Are you done?
Well,
I'll stand back.
like official, like done with everything, or just done with the cemetery?
I have a change of subject, so if you're.
Oh, I'm still on a roll.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing is, I just wanted to thank Jen Johnston and Neutral Main Street and Beyond for the kickoff for our Downtown Thursdays. What a great event. I don't know how many of you are able to be there, but it was so exciting, and it was so much fun. And what a great gathering for all of the people in our community. And I just felt like it was, you know, you see the momentum going, and I feel like people are becoming more aware of it, and I love to see that, and I think it's great to bring our community together. Third, I've had comments about mosquitoes, so thank you for the fact that we've sprayed now twice, but I did have another call today saying, man, how often are we spraying for mosquitoes, and are we ever going to get on top of this? And since you're there, do you want to talk about mosquitoes? Are you, I don't know that you're really the person.
No, I'm not, and I'm not sure if anyone from Parks.
Actually, Steve, with the Parks Division, they monitor the traps to see how many are in there, and then they wait till it gets to a certain level before they recommend spraying, so that's what instigated the second round. So they just continue to monitor it daily till it gets up to the amount that they have to start to spray.
So will we continue, like, let's say that we go to sleep one night, we've just sprayed, we wake up the next day, the traps fill up, how often can we spray? And how
Well, and
much
it's also dependent on, obviously, budget. You know, you have so much budgeted.
So that's really kind of what
Secondary, or actually, first and foremost would be weather conditions, because it has to be
Sure.
no wind, there has to be conditions without rain and things like that. So there's a number of factors, and then the practicality of the budget. They do get a mosquito grant through the state, which this council approved, which pays for some of that spraying as
Yeah,
well.
I think this is just great information for everyone to hear, Stephanie, to hear how the process is done, because certainly it's at the forefront of everyone's mind. If you want to go out in the evening, you have to think about those mosquitoes.
I think it was a little unusual, but what I heard was that the count on those traps really skyrocketed from one week to the next, and so it's kind of unusual that they did it that close, but the numbers really went up fast.
We have to have air movement under 5 miles an hour, and any rain at all will destroy what you've done. It's got to be put on at a time when they're resting under the leaves, and if the wind's blowing at all, the spray is in the next county before you know it. So it's very difficult with the wind that we've had to.
And the rain. And the rain.
Right.
Can I keep going?
Susan, are you still in a roll?
I am. One more thing. So, good friends of ours just got back from Branson, Missouri, and they visited several places en route and on the way back, and sent several ideas actually that we might want to look at for our 6th Avenue Plaza that they saw in Parks. But one of the things that they saw, and this is something that has been brought up before, was they saw a sign that said "Healthy Lungs at Play," and it was a sign put out by the Kansas City Parks Department. And there was a no smoking sign for all of their public parks. And recently I had someone else say, I can't even remember what ordinance they were comparing it to, but they said, why are we worried about that? Why don't we do things like make our parks where we have our kids at play, make them so that they're smoke-free or something like that. So this is something that certainly we've had someone come before us as a council, and they still talk about it. But I do think that that approach to healthy lungs at play and the consideration you've got children that are there, and you know, I certainly would like to think that the example that we're setting for our children is that not to smoke. And so I just thought that I would throw that out and see if there's any chance that we might want to look at that kind of an ordinance. And that would be all that I have.
Okay,
And-
thank you, Susan.
I can pass that on to the Park and Rec Board at their next meeting.
Great. Thank you.
Tim, you're up to bat.
All right, as of today, I just want to announce that we received notification from the state that Kevin Roth has met the Solid Waste Association of North America's eligibility requirements and passed comprehensive examination, and the association designates Kevin as a certified technical associate of landfill operations. Now, this is required in many states around us. It's not yet required in South Dakota. Ron was also a certified landfill operator. Jay out at the landfill, maybe one other are certified landfill operators. So our operators, even though we're not required by the state of South Dakota, are following the national standard and becoming certified. Kevin went to about a week-long training last month, and at the end of that, passed a rather comprehensive exam to do that. And Susan was talking about mosquitoes. The grant request later tonight on tires was initiated by the state in response to the mosquito. So the reason we're trying to do a grant, which is coming up on your agenda, is to eliminate one of the breeding grounds of mosquitoes. So congratulations, Kevin.
Anyone else to the podium? If not, I would entertain a motion of the city council to recess and sit as a board of adjustment.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Set the dates. Hearing on the application of Bobby Kurtenbach for a conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare center located at 1505 East Ash Avenue, legally described as Lot 5, Block 5, Sunnybrook Estates Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Move to set the date.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is a hearing on the application of Gloria and Terry Hansen for a side yard variance of 10 inches versus 3 feet as required for construction of an addition located at 1326 West 4th Avenue, legally described as Lot 1 and 2 of Outlot 1 of C.R. Johnson's addition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Move to set the date. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the hearing on the application of Ashley Forst for a side yard on corner variance of 10 feet versus 20 feet as required for construction of a deck porch located at 1118 South Miller Street, legally described as Lot 6, Block 20, University Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Members, Mayor and council members, I bring to your attention that if you notice in the Planning Commission minutes that they did recommend approval of this variance. And I'll also just making a quick observation, there's only 6 of you, so if there is going to be a opposition, you may want to postpone a decision or something. It did, because the statute does require that it requires 2/3 of the body elect to approve it. So just thought I'd bring that to your attention if somebody's out there. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
I felt a little singled out. By
No.
You never said name. No, you didn't say. You just did. He was looking at me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I sit on the planning commission, and this is a small lot, 50-foot lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna get more of these down the road. And if you don't let them get a variance to fix things up, you're gonna go backwards.
Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what the planning commission.
Yeah, it is kind of on a narrow area, and then they did take into consideration kind of that general area in there, and so, and they did consider if there was any obstructions and so forth, so this is to the south.
I ran by there tonight, and they're fixing up the house and want to put the deck on, and it will require the variance for that to happen. Looks
She's
like-
here if you got questions, so.
Yeah. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reconvene the city council. I would entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the city council to reconvene in regular session.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is a reading on the parking ordinance. I would like to suggest to the council tonight, I don't like to do this and don't want to do this, but I suggest that we table it for one more meeting because we are missing two of our council members. And I think this issue is important enough that all council members be present to partake in the discussion and the vote.
Mayor, I have some concern about that. I won't support a table tonight, just myself, of course. My phone is obviously just rang off the hook on this ordinance. Probably more phone calls on this than, well, way more than the pool, I'll tell you that. Just to give you an idea how important it is to the public. My constituents have spoke out very loudly that they do not approve this ordinance that is in place. They believe what we have currently on the table is applicable and working. There's something in place for it. I do have some, concerns about maybe some safety issues on maybe intersections, things like that, which are pieces of the ordinance, but definitely not a full-blown approval on it. If it needs to be maybe pieced out at a different time and come back to the council on certain issues within the ordinance, I'm in favor of that. But looking at what we had on the agenda that is being asked for table by yourself, I just can't support a debate table. In 2 weeks, when Mr. Smith and Mr. Olson are back, I still will not support this ordinance. Listening to my constituents and tonight, unless the other council has some concerns about it and more discussion, I would rather see, from my point of view, a motion to deny and then come back to the rest of the council. So obviously we can have some more discussion on it, but for as of now, I'm going to make a motion to deny this ordinance.
Second.
I sat on the committee, and I too had numerous people either call me, email me, stop into the store, whatever. And I think there's honestly an awful lot of confusion yet about the differences between the two ordinances. And I don't think that we've had a good job done of explaining what the differences really are and what the benefits are to the new ordinance. Once I had talked with a number of people that are in the construction type business that are using their business trailers and whatever around town, and once they found out how when you're at a job, there's no charge for any of your vehicles if you need 3 or if you need 2 or if you need 4 or whatever it is. There's no charge for those permits. There's no need for them to come in and move their stuff backwards, forwards, whatever, every 48 hours. That is gone. Once they understood that, they were happier. They were honestly happier to find out that they no longer had to worry about, okay, this one hasn't been moved for 2 days. I got to move this one forward 2 feet. This one hasn't been moved for 2 days. I better move this one backwards for 2 feet. Once I'm on this job site, I can get my permits. I can print them out online. I can stick them on my vehicle, and I no longer have to worry about moving anything anywhere. It can be there for 2 days. It can be there for 2 months. Whatever it takes for me to get my job done, I no longer have to be moving stuff. And I thought that made really good sense for these people that are in business. I don't know why they should be spending time moving their equipment back and forth so that they can stay at a job site. It makes no sense to me. The other issue that I've had and people didn't really understand is that you have the right to take your camper or your trailer or whatever it is and put it in your backyard and store it back there. And they didn't understand, what might be the incidence of accidents as well. And understanding that, your next door neighbor is trying to back out of their driveway and doesn't want to hit somebody that's on a bicycle, doesn't want to hit somebody that's jogging down the street, doesn't want to hit another car. And sometimes, especially in our old neighborhoods where we have these 50-foot lots, it's pretty difficult to have a camper or a trailer at your next door neighbors back out of your driveway onto the street and make sure that you are not going to be taking somebody out when you're backing out. One of the things that I was pretty insistent on, and it took me quite a while, was that I wanted to see that they still had 48 hours that they could stay in front of, you know, if they're getting ready to go someplace, they're going to head south to Arizona for 3 months or whatever, that they could have it out in front of their lot for as much as 48 hours. And I think we worked pretty hard with Justin and Lyndon to get a verbiage for something that would allow that with the permit. And the one thing that everybody needs to understand is these permits are free, absolutely zero cost. You can either come down to City Hall and get them, or you can print them out online. Either way, that both is supposed to be set up. So at this point in time, I guess after working on this committee and each one of the committee members, we each put in a full 6 hours. It was 3 hours one night and 3 hours another night. So we each put in a full 6 hours, all of us. And by the time we were done, I think everybody felt pretty comfortable with what we had. So as it sits right now, unless something else comes to light, I think we are much better, have a much better ordinance that would be on our books than what we previously had.
I'd like to add to that, Bev, too. I mean, I spent a lot of time, you know, putting together this committee with 6 members. And I went through a lot of extra effort to find 2 people that were in favor of the change, 2 people that were opposed to the change, and 2 people that were completely neutral and could have went either way. And like, as Bev mentioned, we met for 6 hours. We spent a lot of time, so did Justin, reviewing the current ordinance and tweaking it, a total of about 6 hours. And when the ordinance was completely explained to all 6 members, it was a unanimous vote by those committee members to approve the ordinance as it was being proposed to them that night.
I'd like to speak to this just for a minute. You know, okay, let me just start with the fact that 100% of the calls, emails, and texts that I have received have been against this proposed ordinance. So 100%. I haven't had one person contact me personally who has said, boy, I sure do like this new plan. So I have a really hard time when I consider that I am representing the people of the community, and every single one that has contacted me have been adamantly opposed to this. I have a hard time saying this is a good idea. Secondly, when I spent time reading the proposed ordinance, there's just no way. I mean, I think that the concept about people that are working on their jobs, you know, that's fine, but that does not address even a portion of the concerns that I have for our private citizens. And when I read through this, I was just aghast. I literally was surprised that this is what we came up with. And I, in good conscience, cannot support it. So I'll be voting to deny this as well.
Dave, you sat on the board. What is your thought on the board? You've sat there for 6 hours too?
People worked really hard, right? Worked for what was in front of them. And at the end of the session, there was people you could tell there was people that were for it, then there was people that were for it, but they tried to put something together. Yeah. And I personally stated, I said, you've done the work. It should go to the council. The mayor asked you to pass it on to the council. And I said, based on the work you've done, it at least needs to go to the council. So, that's our job.
For the vote of their approval or for a review of the whole ordinance?
For a review of the ordinance.
That's what I thought.
Okay, I've got a couple questions. One, I see in the ordinance, and I've read it probably 4 times since Friday, that we say it's public health and safety. And when we asked for safety data, we got the last 2 years of accident reports, and no fault of the committee or anything else, but from that data, In my opinion, there's nothing in there that says the parking of large vehicles or anything else are contributing to any safety. From just a root sigma analysis, there's only 3 things in there that can be even pulled out from a data standpoint. One is speed, one is uncontrolled intersections, and one is, for some reason, 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm presuming that is school letting out and parents picking up children, et cetera, all over town, then driving wherever they need to, probably as fast as they can through uncontrolled intersections, and we have more accidents at that time. But fortunately or unfortunately, nothing in that data shows anything involving accidents related to health and safety. So my question then comes from that, if we give them a permit, how does it make it safer?
I have to honestly say, I'm not sure on that. And I worked with what was in front of us, and I honestly feel like we don't have a perfect scenario. I don't know what a perfect scenario is. We took what we had to work with. We took what we used to have. We took what the proposal was. We tried to make the best option out of it that we can. Can I say that we have a perfect scenario? I don't believe we do, and I just don't know what a perfect scenario is. And I'm certainly open to it.
I don't think there is a perfect scenario.
You know,
Go
I'm sorry.
From the safety training that I've had over the years, you need to have a measurement to know whether it improves. And I don't see that we have one. I've got a couple other questions. Regarding the commercial permit, if I'm a commercial operator, and I couldn't answer this question from reading the ordinance, so that's why I'm asking. So I'm a commercial operator and I have XYZ Electric, and I'm working at a site and I have my permit and I have my van and a trailer, and then I go home at night. Can I park it in front of my house?
The van or the trailer?
Both.
The van would be fine. That's not considered a prohibited implement under the proposed ordinance. The trailer would be prohibited.
But I have.
At your home.
So my permit from a commercial application is only when it's at the work site.
Correct.
Okay?
To
me, that's not, I had a hard time getting that, making sure that in there. Okay, then we've had a couple comments that I can buy this online, but my understanding is when will that be available to buy online?
Well, there's no purchasing.
When can I
They're free
apply
of
for it
charge. You should be
online?
able to apply. I don't know. It would probably take some time to implement, but
Okay, so if
the plan would be to monitor
If I need
it.
a permit on Sunday, I have to apply for it on Friday or earlier? Because obviously, we're only going to give you permits 8 to 5.
At
Do
this
I have
point-
to, do I have to own the vehicle to apply for a permit? So if I have a relative coming, and he's going to get here Friday night, and I need to have a permit for him for Friday night and Saturday, can I go down Friday and get it? Because he's going to park his motorhome in front of my house.
They can't come into town. They gotta stay at Walmart parking lot.
That's
Do I
not,
need-
that's not the
Exactly
case.
the
Do I
scenario
need to
was
own the
thinking.
vehicle in order to get a permit for it?
I'm looking up the section here.
We did talk about that, and I know that was in part of the ordinance.
No, I didn't,
Because
I didn't see it. that
Because
could
I
figure
understood
out.
that as well. You know, you've got somebody coming in from Wyoming or wherever, and they want to
For-
visit you, you know,
Yep.
there needs to be.
For residential parking permits, it states that any owner or renter of a prohibited implement may apply.
Okay, so
Have to
if
be
my
either owning
brother's,
or renting
if
it.
my brother's bringing his motorhome, he's going to be illegal the whole weekend.
Or he could get a permit himself.
And he's going to, and I'm going to have to tell him to do that, and he can get that by doing it online?
That's how it's intended to work.
I understood that whoever, if I had somebody coming to visit me and they were going to come with their camper, I understood that I would be able to apply for that person to have a permit to be in front of my residence.
That's not the way that it was written, but it could easily be amended to that.
So we have a motion and a second to table.
Well, motion second to deny.
To deny them.
I'm
Oh,
just trying to vet this to
Deny the whole
understand
thing. I see.
what's in there to, Okay, so a commercial one, I can't park it at my house when I'm done. And I need to own the vehicle in order to get a permit for it, and it's not online yet.
We
And
didn't, we didn't go through with any of those logistics because we had no idea
But
if the
then
kitty was going to be.
I have a real hard time saying I want to even pass it on first reading if I can't answer those basic questions. So, I just don't see where this can go forward at this time.
This is such a small problem. You know, we got 15,700 people in town. We got 113 complaints. I went to my accountant at my tax day. I had to pay my taxes. It's less than 0.5%. It's this small, but the mayor is making it this big, and I think it's wrong. Jerry,
You know, Danny, you don't sit where I sit and get the phone calls from the people walking into my office. I know you said you got a lot of telephone calls from people opposed to it. I'm hearing the other side of the story. And I'm hearing about being proactive rather than reactive, like we were on second or on third on Lawler. Do we really have to wait for an accident to happen before we say, okay, now we're going to look at something different? Because we know, and Lyndon, I'm going to refer to you on this here because you know, as far as the enforcement goes, looking at what was proposed and the way that the ordinance is now, which way would be the easier way to enforce it?
The easiest way is if you had the permits, you can just roll up. If they didn't have a permit, you can ticket them.
Right now, the ordinance we've got now has been almost impossible to enforce.
But Mayor,
It just takes 48 hours.
Right.
48 hours.
one of my concerns is exactly what was said over here. How do you, I lost my train of thought. How do you even decide, if the person has a permit and they're parked there, how's that gonna prevent the accident? How does that even-
Well, you're not going to have them on the street all the time as they are now. 'Cause right now, I mean, they're on the street all summer long.
There was a section in this that I read through and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Section 7-4-4, no parking areas within an intersection, on a crosswalk, outside the first line of cars parked next to the curb line, within 25 feet of the intersection and curb line, blah, blah, blah. There were several of those. A few of them I had a question mark by, but, okay, let's take that little part because that makes sense. That's a part that I can say, yeah, you know, if you say, hey, look, no parking if within 25 feet of an intersection, hey, that makes sense to me because those intersections can be dangerous. But the rest of this, not letting people park, I'm sorry, I just can't. It does not make
They
sense.
don't allow it in other cities, but we allow it here. I mean, why is it that every other city that you refer to has ordinances in place that are a lot tougher than what this ordinance is that's being proposed? You don't see these campers parked on every street going east, west, north, and south like you do in Mitchell, South Dakota.
I think you must be seeing a different Mitchell, South Dakota than I do because
I
I
went-
don't see the problem.
You know, I drove out to KMIT this morning, and just going up Cedar Street and back down Douglas and looking at all the side streets. I took pictures of 16 trailers, campers, and boats, just on those two streets and in crossways going north and south. It took me about 20 minutes to come up with 16 different vehicles, 16 different pictures, 16 license plate numbers.
And let me just say, probably because it's a Monday after a weekend, and it's summer, and people have been camping, and now they're home, and they're unloading their campers, and they'll go put them where they need to put them. Maybe not all 16 of them, but I would bet you.
I would respectfully disagree with you on that, Susan, because I have driven around several different times, and I get those counts no matter what part of town I go in. Even after the meeting last Tuesday night, when it was commented that very few campers were seen on the street, in the half hour between 8:30 and 9, I counted 17 of them on the west side of town. Back before we started tagging them, there was over 100 and some campers, boats, and trailers on our streets. And I've heard those comments from people visiting our city, how trashy our streets look with all these pickup or campers, and RVs, and pop-up campers, and cords and hoses going across sidewalks. I mean, I heard from a lot of different people. You heard the other side. I heard a different side.
I guess the thing that comes to my mind right off the top of this is we need to do something with the current ordinance. And I am not going to say that I know exactly what the something is. We try to work out as close to the something as what we could come up. What we currently have is 48 hours. What we currently have on the books is 48 hours. The problem with the 48 hours is it's more difficult to for our officers to enforce. And it makes no sense to me to have our officers out there taking pictures, chalking, turning around and go back and I mean, it seems to me like a frugal waste of their time when they've got bigger and better fish to fry, and I just don't find it.
You know,
And one other thing is that, and complaint driven is not a good idea because
It pits one neighbor
people
against the
don't
other.
want to complain about their neighbor, or you get the other side where
I
they
got-
want to complain every time something comes up. In fact, that was one of the issues that a gentleman that called me at lunchtime said he can be out at a work site, and he said, I don't know what it is, but he said it doesn't make any difference where I'm at. He said somebody's calling and they're after me for my vehicles out in front of my work site. And he said he was fully in favor after I explained that once he has permit, he can stay there for his 2 weeks or his month or his 2 months or whatever it is. He thought it sounded fantastic. Now, I don't have a solution for what he does when he takes it home for the one night before he goes on to the next job. And maybe that's something we still would need to work on. And
Today, Bev, I had 2 people walk in the office and 4 people called me on the phone complimenting me on this ordinance, saying this is something that's long overdue. One woman, I went over to her house over on East 15th Street, and she told me she's had a problem for the 11 years that she's lived there with neighbors. She says, and I don't say anything. She said, because complaint driven, she says, I got to get along with my neighbors, and I'm not going to complain. She said, but I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. That was just this afternoon.
we have ordinances like all over the place that can be complaint driven. I mean, I don't know how we fix that.
Complaint driven is pitting one neighbor against the other, though.
Well,
And I don't think this is the way, and Mayor, I respect you getting phone calls in favor of it. Once again, I'm gonna go back to my opening statement is, I'm getting phone calls on, they're not in favor of this ordinance, and I've always sat up here speaking that I'm gonna speak for my constituents, and that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I can't support this type of ordinance. If your committee, which I believe
Are
is
you,
far from being done.
can I ask the council one question here,
Let me
Marty?
finish my statement here. I think your committee is far from being done. I think you have to take a look at some things again, maybe break it apart, whatever it is. But I'm just not going to support this. I've been asked repeatedly, my phone's ringing, and that's where I'm at on this thing. I've had a couple emails in support of it. One is going to be to the podium here pretty quick. But otherwise, it is no. And that's just what needs to be done. I don't know the answer to make it right, but it isn't this is what I'm trying to say at. So I'll never put my approval on it. So that's where I'm at, and I'm going to stand tonight.
Can I ask you a question, Marty? And everyone else that's opposed to it, are you telling me as mayor then you want me to enforce the existing ordinance?
Enforce the existing ordinance, that's what you got it for, but be a mayor, Jerry. Don't go out and look for complaints. Don't go out and look for addresses and go text them to the.
You know, Dan,
I think that's wrong. You find me one city, a mayor our size that does that. Only you, Jerry.
Dan, I didn't go out and look for it. They came
You
to
did
me.
too, I got it. I wish I had my picture phone here, my text. You text Lyndon, and it got to me. I found one over here on Mitchell Christian School. I found 3 or 4 more. Go tag them. I got it on my phone. And this was 2 months ago, Jerry.
Oh, I don't deny that I didn't tell Lyndon to go out and tag him. And that was a public awareness thing. And I also told Lyndon, don't ticket anything and don't tow
You
anything.
said tag them.
I said tag him,
I
yes.
never seen a mayor do something like that. To me, and don't be offended, it's very unprofessional.
Mayor, I just want to give you an example, a true life example from my life, okay? This last week it happened. So on Monday, our Sunday night, our son and daughter-in-law came to our house and borrowed our flatbed trailer that we keep out at our farm in Lincoln. Brian had brought it in, it was hooked up to the truck, and they drove it to T and then turned around and Brian brought it back. And Thursday, I needed to help pick up a display from the prehistoric Indian village and take it up to the Corntalis Museum. And our farm is in Eden, and my husband works in Sioux Falls. So I said, is there any way that we could just leave this at our house? So that trailer sat in front of my house from Monday, this is a confession, till Thursday, and I kept saying, this is a real life example of why this isn't going to work. I mean, things happen. And are you telling me I would have had to drive that trailer and that truck out to Ethan and then drive back out and bring it in and then take it back out. When in 3 days I was going to need it again to help the city, FYI. So I just feel like there are real life examples. Things happen, and you cannot put this kind of a blanket statement on it and say we're banishing everybody and you know.
We're not banishing everybody. We're not banishing anyone.
I would disagree with that with this particular ordinance that is.
I'm gonna take offense to what you said, though, Danny.
Fine.
And I mean, you're making an accusation that I went out and I looked for this problem. When I was campaigning, I had more people asking me about campers and trailers and RVs parked on our streets. And I started making it a campaign issue, where I was asking people, you know, what do you think of the camper over there across the street or next door to you? So we don't say anything, but we sure wished it was gone. And I made a campaign promise to people that I would look into this. This is why I did it. And when the spring came rolling around, I thought I was going to get this right from the nip it at the bud. Because my primary responsibility as mayor, number one priority, is that I enforce all ordinances. If Lyndon was to watch a car go through a stop sign, would you expect him to stop that car and give it a ticket? Well, my job as mayor is to enforce all ordinances, and all ordinances are laws. If you want the 48-hour thing like you got it right now, I will enforce it, and that's what I'm asking you. Is that what you want me to do?
What I want,
Thank you.
but be professional at it, Jerry.
I was professional about
I
it.
think you were.
Well, and I don't think you can single out certain things to enforce. If we're going to enforce all of them, enforce all of it.
Right.
That's the law.
Right.
I call the
So-
question.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
No,
That's just a question.
That's a question, okay.
I guess I want some interpretation. We're calling the question.
On the deny.
To
That means there's no more discussion.
Everyone has to agree to it.
Okay.
Well, there's a motion and a second to deny.
There is a motion in it, second. And all those in favor of denying the new ordinance,
Do you want a roll call, Mayor?
go ahead with the roll call.
Sharks? Aye. Allen?
Aye.
Barrington?
Aye.
Robinson?
I'm going to say aye, but I want just a quick comment. I hope that we can revisit this with all of the input that we've had and come back with something that is a better solution for everyone involved. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say aye.
Tronis?
Aye.
Rice?
Aye.
6-0.
Carried. Action to approve paramedic student affiliation agreement.
This is an agreement between Western Dakota Tech and us. It just allows for paramedic students to be able to ride or internship with us. We do have them with a few other schools too.
And I looked at, is there any liability for us, or that's okay? And have we done this with other
We have.
people before?
We have, and Justin took a look at the contract also, so it's a typical thing they do, I think, across the state.
Yeah, I know a person at Lake Area Tech that's doing the same thing with Sisseton.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve designated veterans parking space in city parking lots tabled from the May 16th, 2016 city council meeting.
I sent Stephanie a little bit more information on this, and I think it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this on June 6th, which is the 72nd anniversary of D-Day and the landing in Normandy. This started, I pulled into a parking lot in Duluth, Minnesota, and I saw this sign, and I thought it was, what a great way to welcome part of our citizenship. And it really strikes me. I did 2 tours in Vietnam, and I came back, the first time I came back in uniform, and it wasn't treated very well. The second time I didn't wear my uniform back. I'm really glad to see that Iraq and Iran, Afghanistan people, veterans are being treated well, but I think this is really a great thing for the amount of people that have served their country, who have written a blank check to the government up to and including their life. It's a small thing. So this is why I've proposed it. I mean, I see senior parking signs, I see expected mother parking signs, disabled handicap parking signs. You know, this is the least I think we can do. It's, you know, if you're looking at priorities, I think these veterans are probably given a lot more than a lot of others. So,
I noticed they have one of those down at Coburn's in their parking lot now.
so I think it's a great way to really garner some goodwill around the city for the veterans that are coming here. There's a statement here, and this is written by a guy that was a Marine in the Battle of Quezon, and it's a quote that I have on every one of my emails, and it says, "For those who fought for freedom as a flavor, the protected never know." And it's really a true statement, you know, and so I'm proposing that we'll start with 9, let's see what happens. 9 signs, $65 each at the spots. If you can go to the next one, Stephanie.
I have one question on that one there, Dave, regarding the veteran parking you got 2 spots for that. What are you referring to as veteran parking?
I'm talking about the new one down where the city hall was gonna go. We're gonna put the new veteran park. First and.
You're talking about on the west end of that lot and not across the alley, where that big lot is on the alley?
No.
Because there's only going to be a spot behind that area.
You know, I figured Lyndon or somebody could figure out a couple spots, just, I mean, people down there.
There's probably enough room for 5 or 6 back there.
You know, but, and just places people will go within the city, you know, just, I found it very refreshing when I saw that, and I know what hotel I'm gonna stay in next time I go back to Duluth. So, you know, this is a grand total of $585. It's on the honor system. I don't expect Lyndon to be checking for veterans plates, you know, and it's just what it is, you know. And so, this is the proposal. You know, some might say who else or what's next, but really, who's giving more? So,
And David, we tabled it last time simply because we didn't know the extent of where in the background and where you thought they should be put. But starting with 9 and knowing the cost, I think it's a great idea. We'll try it and see what happens.
good.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve, set the date of June 20th, 2016 for a waste tire collection and disposal grant at 1:30 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall, Mitchell.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Just a sec. Does this go with the Zika virus
Yes.
mosquito deal? So Susan, this is mosquito related.
I'm sorry, what?
So this is the mosquito related.
Yes, I know, yes,
Okay.
I recognize that, thank
Okay.
you.
That's all.
Is there a motion, a second on that?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3352, supporting an application for a tire recycling grant between the city and South Dakota Department of Natural Resources.
This is the one you're just talking about, Tim.
Yes.
Additional. The state one.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First reading, ordinance number 2545, an ordinance authorizing the assignment of the Sandcom franchise agreement to ATV Holdings LLC and amending Mitchell City Code Chapter 8-10B to reflect an assignment of the Sandcom franchise agreement to ATV Holdings LLC.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Question, I thought I read in here, this is also moving the date of the Midco renewal to a September date. in this
The mid,
ordinance also?
well, the Mid-Continent cable franchise is currently set to expire this September, and we're changing the term of the SANCOM, now will be the ATV Holdings, to coincide with
Okay.
that.
Okay. I wanted to make sure
So
that was just.
renegotiation of both is going to be happening at the same time.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Motion? Second? Okay, no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action to approve a letter of engagement with Steve Bogue.
Included in your packet was just a copy of the letter of engagement. This would be using Steve Bogue for negotiations with the city's union for the 2007 negotiations, as well as completing the current open negotiations from 2015 with the AFSCME union. It is at a similar rate as what we've paid in previous years, and you saw the budget amount listed on the staff report, but it's very difficult to project what that's going to be when we don't know how many court cases will be courted.
Move to approve letter of engagement with Steve Bogue.
Second. Oh, sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for the city council to enter into executive session as permitted by SDCL-1-25-2 for preparing for contract negotiations or negotiating with employees or employee representatives.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Who did you get pictures?
Why waste our time?
Hey, Jerry. What's that? No, I'm not attacking. Jerry, I hear it from everybody out there. I hear it from more people. I hear the opposite. I'm sorry, I hear it